higher thought video. Again, I really appreciate that you take your time out of your day to listen to this. The reason I'm sitting here is because I have a bunch of thoughts. I think all day, and I know many of you like to stay very neutral in life, just to live. Don't give me too many thoughts. I don't want to think too much. I don't want to get lost in that place, either because I don't want to have thoughts about things I don't want to think about, or because life is just simple and I don't need any new responsibilities right now. Okay, and that's understandable. But the point is over here that we live a life, and at some point in life, especially as Jews, especially as Yidden, we have to wake up and say, what are we doing over here, and where am I going? Okay, we already mentioned that story with the old man who was grabbed by a guard and says, what are you doing here, and who are you, and where are you going? Yeah, and that's a big thought that we have to carry around with us, and know that even though we go through different things in our life, there's a bigger plan. There's something much bigger. And as we start looking through the personalities of the Torah, we start looking through different people, we could start creating stories of their life. So, for example, we could go through the people in the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu, Yeshua ben Nun, and Eldad Umeidad, and Koirach, and Dasan Aviram, and you go through all these people, and you get to learn from them and from their stories of what we could connect to. And of course, the Gemara comes, the Medrash, everybody has more things. They take the whole story and they slow it down even slower, and they tell you what did they do throughout the minutes of their day, not just the big stories, but what led up to those things. Okay, so let's say you take, for example, Dasan and Aviram. We know the story in Pasha Shemois. We have Dasan, yeah, being one of these guards, one of these Gestapos, these Jewish people that would go and hurt other Jewish people. And we see V'yom l'Rasha lama sakalarecha, right? Lama sakarecha, like Moshe Rabbeinu asks him, and that's Dasan. And we see Gama Erev Rav alu itam. The Erev Rav followed the Yidden into the Midbar, and it's just an interesting fact to stop at. It's like the Yidden went into the Midbar; they didn't even know where they were going. All they knew was on to the Promised Land. Let my people go. And it was only when they got to Kriyas Yamsuf that they were like, wait a second, we're trapped over here. And when they got through, they got into the Midbar, was when the real test of faith came into play. Because we say in Oz Yasher, Vayaminu Bashem of Moshe Avdoi. When they saw the water split, it was 100% clear to them that Hashem is the Lord of the entire world, and Moshe Rabbeinu speaks to him. There was no doubt. But after reaching a certain understanding in life, we reach a certain level, we end up going back to our original level. Okay? For example, if somebody goes and a great speech, and he hears inspiration, and they start telling him about life and about how to raise kids and how to do different things and how to make yourself a better person. This person goes home and he tells his wife, tomorrow morning I'll be up at 6 o'clock, I'll go for a run, then I'll learn with the Chavrusa, then I'll daven with Minyan, and then, I'm changing my life entirely. And it may work for a day or two, but eventually the thoughts go back to its original place. The thoughts go back to where we are comfortable living our life out of. Okay, so there's like a little compartment in our brain that we're so comfortable in. We have our couch, we keep up that place. We know exactly, we know which doors lead to which places, and we have very close access to those doors. The things that we like to think about, the troubles that that we end up being busy with most of the time, the headaches, those are very accessible doors. And even the addictions or urges, habits, all those things are very accessible from that area. And now that we gain this new knowledge and we're going into a new compartment because we're opening a new office, now we have to sweat through that time, sweat through that beginning stages of a new life that we're trying to make for ourselves, a new lifestyle, and not revert back to the old compartment where we're going to, where we just find all our comfortabilities at ease. We know exactly what to do, when to do, without any question. It's not like a new type of life, a new type of way of living. And when the Yidden came out of Kriyas Yamsuf, they went into this new place in their mind of Emunah completely, and Emunah completely means even little kids were able to see Zekeli Va'aveyu. They were able to point. They saw the Shekhinah, because getting to a place of such clear Emunah, you see things. You get to a place of physical and spiritual reality merge, because you have gotten yourself into that level. You have taken your physical body and the neshama and understand how the duality of both of them, how they are coinciding and living together, and there's a purpose for you in this life, as such a combined being, as the combinedness of the neshama and the body. You see yourself with emunah, and you're like, wait, I have this duality inside of me, and somehow I have to make this work. And I could see that if I use the key, that emunah key, I could make it happen. But what happens naturally is that we revert back to our comfortabilities, and that's where the Eden found themselves after Kriyas Yamsuf. So the Erev Rav, we talk about Dasan Aviram. The Gemara says Dasan Aviram, as they passed through the Yamsuf, they had their own pathways. Yeah, they had their own, the water split just for them on a separate private tour, like a elite members only type of pass, and they went through. And you wonder why did they have to have that? What was it all about? And if they had it just for themselves, and I'm guessing they knew about the rest of the Eden going through the other, like on their own, and but they definitely understood that there's more meaning to them having this opportunity and this treat, that that their emunah should have been even greater. They should have seen, like, wow, not just are we receiving this miracle and seeing clearly that Hashem exists in this world and leads every second of the day, and that Moshe Rabbeinu is the true leader, but they should have seen themselves as being part of being special, and being like, wow, even after the people we've been, even after all the horrible stuff we've accused other people of, and Moshe of, and like we hit other people, even though Hashem is still giving us that opportunity to become a better person. They should have had that way of seeing it. But then again, maybe they did, but when they reverted back to their old, yeah, it was even worse. Because what happens when you gain this higher knowledge, this understanding of Amunah, you connect to Hashem in a type of way, and then you go through a physical problem. You have a health scare, you have financial problems, your kids, your wife, your car breaks down, anything. Anything that happens in life, we just automatically revert back to our laboratory, the place where we know where all the tools are. In this new place, we just have a concept, we have a feeling, we know a little bit about Amunah, we understand it, we know how special we could be, but we don't know how to use that place. We don't know how to be there and sweat it through to get to know how to really live. But since we do know about it, when we go back to our comfort place, we end up falling even deeper. We end up becoming distraught, and maybe sometimes lazy in such ways that we don't take care of ourselves, because what's the point, really? Like, I really want to live a different life, and now I'm just subject to using such tools. So, Dasav Aviram, we could learn from their personality, especially as they went later on in the Midbar. They were always complaining. They always had different things. We had it with the man. They went out, and Moshe said there won't be man on Shabbos, and they went and put out man just to go and say, hey, look, you see. And then the birds came, so of course we do that. We do that as a remembrance. We put bread out for the birds. Pashas B'Shalach, and even Chabad is going to eat kasha. You know, they have different types of food that they eat for the birds. Shabbos Shira. And then we see with Dasan Aviram, of course, all the way at the end, as the earth swallowed them up. So it's not just that the water went and did them, like, gave them a special miracle. The earth gave them a special miracle as well. Yeah? And the thing is, they went and they started climbing up. They started going up higher and higher. As we know, there are a couple of elements in this world. This world was created by fire, air, water, and earth. These are the four elements. And it goes in this order. Even though throughout the months it goes in a different order, like Nisan, Iyar, Siv, and Tammuz is going to be fire, earth, air, and water. You'll have earth as the second one. And that's how it goes throughout the year. But if you look at the creation of the world, it goes in that way. Because the fire has an oxygen component to it, and as you light it, it starts releasing this heat, and it could raise balloons. And gases are fire, right? Oxygen, helium, and nitrogen. All these things are gases that have energy in it, so they could fuel different things. And so that means if they have air, they have heat. That means they have ruach as well. They have air. Air has a thing called condensation, right? It becomes cold, it becomes hot, right? And it has different water particles traveling through it, and that's where it goes down to water. And water, of course, has different parts that become harder. Salt comes together, clumps together, and then it forms into becoming earth. And then you go down. Those are the four things. So Dasan Aviram and the entire Jewish nation were going through the water phase. They went out of Ervas Aretz, they went out of Mitzrayim, which was like the darkest part of Aretz, which is Afar, which is the lowest place. And the Yidden were able to go into the first mikvah of their life. They went through Kriyas Yamsuf, Dasan Aviram as well. They went through, and this was their cleansing. They were now going from a place of earth into a place of water. And now the question is, where do we go from here? Are we going to go back to earth, or are we going to try climbing higher to air and fire in order to make ourselves pure throughout all four elements, so that we should be able to live with complete emunah that we are neshamas, we are souls living in this world, and we're just confined in the body for the time being. We want to live in a place where we could recognize that there are malachim walking between us, that there are souls of the past that are all around this world, and we want to live there. It's a real place. It's a real avoida of being a Jew. You want to make that part of your life. We have to work on it. So Dasan Aviram, they went back down to Aretz, and not just to Aretz, they went down into the depth. Aretz opened the mouth, and they fell into the deepest place of Aretz after going through the Yamsuf, and after raising themselves one element and getting into water and having that dip and really having an opportunity to go up. But they didn't, they lost that. And we have it, and as Yidden, we were all in the midbar, and we decided we have to go upward. We kept on reverting back to our comfort zones, and we had complaints, and we wanted more food, and we wanted different things. But overall, the Yidden were good-hearted. They didn't mean bad. They were just stuck in the physicality, and they were hovering between going back and going forth, like earth, water, and suddenly, words started coming. We started having words. Moshe Rabbeinu taught us about Shabbos. He taught us about different mitzvahs that we should do and how we should keep our belief. And he taught us about history, and that's why he was a Navi, because there were a lot of Yidden who didn't know any stories of Avraham Avinu. They knew his name possibly, but there were many details that were missing. And Moshe Rabbeinu, that's why he's Navi, l'koid milafanav v'labam achrav. Yeah, it's not just he was a Navi that was able to tell the future, which is like Yeshaya, Yecheskel, Yirmiyahu, right? Yecheskel, yeah, Yecheskel and Yirmiyahu. You have they always spoke about the future, but Moshe Rabbeinu was able to talk about the past. He went back in time in order to see everything from the creation, from Bereshis, all the way until he brought it to the present day. And that's why he's Av Lanavim, L'koid milafanav v'labam achrav. He's a father to people who were there before him. So you see that amazingness, and we could live in that type of world. We could get ourselves there, and we have to learn how to be connected and how to seek out Hashem throughout our life in order for us to get up to the place called Ruach. Moshe Rabbeinu goes and teaches us how to live with Amunah, and how to connect to Hashem, and how our relationship should be. Those are all words, and now we're going from being water to starting to accept new things. We're starting to go with the wind and feeling the heat, feeling the cold, going back and forth, but also learning about ourselves along the way and becoming better and better people. And then we get to the Har Sinai, which is full of fire, and we raise ourselves to the level of fire. And this is a cycle that kept on repeating itself. It went from Yitzias Mitzrayim to Matan Torah, and then we had a fall of the Egel, and then we built the Mishkan, and then we had different struggles that we went through. I don't want to get into details, because some of these details are contested when they happened exactly. But the idea is we went through such cycles of understanding, falling, and then slowly bringing ourselves back up to what we understood. We got to level 10, we fell back down to 1, and now we have to slowly climb our way back up to 10. And there are many things that we understand instantly, or we really like. I remember I was 13 years old, and I was in yeshiva. I may have been 12 at the time, but I was in Cheder, and we were learning a Gemara, and I understood it completely. I understood it. I was like the first kid in the class to grasp it. And the next day I come back, and I open the Gemara, and I look at it, and I'm like ready to continue to the next couple of lines. And I couldn't make sense of the words. I couldn't make sense. I was looking back and forth, and it really bothered me. It really bothered me that I couldn't, like, what do you mean? I understood it yesterday. And that's when my Rebbe came over to me. He told me, let's learn it slowly. Let's start from the bottom. Let's understand what is the Gemara talking about, and let's understand what the conversation was until now. And let me see if you might even have the Gemara's question ready for you as you get there, because it's not going to sit well with you. You'll be like, after what we just learned, I have a question, and then you look into the next lines and you'll see that's actually the question the Gemara is going to be asking. And it was very interesting, like now to look back, see that I understood something, then I fell back down, and then I had to really slowly build myself back up, so that way it's not just an external concept, it's a full building that leads up to it. Anything that we learn when from external sources, if somebody teaches you something, if you get inspired, if you read a book, you have to learn how to build yourself up from the place that you are all the way to the place where you want to get to. But in order to know the place that you want to get to, you first have to get a glimpse of it. You first have to see, oh, this is what we're going for. And now that we know this, I can start working towards it. And that's what we have by Yetzias Mitzrayim. Hashem says, I took you into Yerushalayim to make Karban Pesach on the first night while the Bechorim of Mitzrayim were killed. Like, why did they have to go there? Let them get a glimpse. Let them understand this is what we're going towards. This is the feeling that we're going to be having. And there's an interesting pasuk in Shir HaShirim that Shlomo HaMelech says, Apiryon Asallah HaMelech Shlomo. Shlomo made this Apiryon. Apiryon means like a bedding, and he says with me'atzah levanon, it was made atzah levanon. Amudea kesef, like their poles were covered in silver, and rifidasoi, right? It's linen, the rifida, the thing that you lie on, like a hammock. You have two poles, and you have this thing that you lie on. That's rifidasoi. Rifidasoi argaman. Rifidasoi zahav. And Merkavoi Argaman, the whole border was like beautiful purple. And Toichoi Ratzuf Ahava, the inside of it, the entire, what filled up this entire bedding was filled with the Hava of Benois Yerushalayim, was filled with the love of the daughters of Israel, which means us, the entire nation. So this bedding was made either for the Luchos or for the Aron, which had Luchos inside. Just look at the Baba Basra, Daf Yudalid. Amud Aleph, you'll see that. So Shlomo HaMelech goes and creates this bedding, and he says the inside is Toichei Ratzuf Ahava. It's filled with love of Benois Yerushalayim. Love is not a physical thing. Love is a feeling. It's an understanding. It's a connection. It's not something physical. So what does it mean? Toichei Ratzuf Ahava. The entire inside of this bedding for the Luchos is filled with love. So we know, oh, I made this dish, it's filled with love. Or there's a special recipe in the Shabbos food called Shabbos, right? We all know it's more of a metaphorical idea. But Shlomo HaMelech is going through the entire, how did he make this apiryon? He took atzei levanon, he put silver on it, he made a gold bedding, and he put a purple border. So if he's talking about physical stuff, the fifth thing is probably also physical, and he says, Toicha Ratzuf Ahava, it's filled with love. So when Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, and the first night he just took us straight to Yerushalayim, he didn't just show us, oh, you're going to be having this building on that mountain, and these are how the walls are going to look like. He gave us the entire package of the feeling and connection that we will have as a people once we live under his rule in Yerushalayim, under the rule of our kings with Mashiach. Like the full idea of it. And so we see that there's a physical component to something spiritual. And we say ahava. It is actually something physical that happens to us. We become different people because of it. And when the Yidden go and they see Yerushalayim, they raise themselves to a level of saying, okay, now that we're out of Mitzrayim, this is the understanding that we are going to reach. Even though we will revert back, even though we will fall back down, we have to learn how to get back up. And for generations and generations, we're just climbing, trying to get ourselves into a space where we could operate as people from that higher level. We want to operate as people from a level of understanding Hashem, knowing how the spiritual and physical components, love and gold, could go together, and it makes it even better. We want to get there, and I know this, it sounds a little outlandish, it sounds like science fiction, but if you think about the way Hashem created the world and how we're supposed to believe in Him, what we're supposed to believe about Hashem, we know that He's completely spiritual, and how do we get to that spirituality? It's not just enough, Hashem is Rachani, and now that should be the final answer. What is Rachani? Explain it to me. What is it? It's something, it's a connection, it's a feeling that we can't understand. It's something beyond ice cream. It's something beyond physical. But we could get ourselves to a level of emunah where we could see that merging. We could daven a good davening. We could learn for an hour or two, and we could spend time by doing the right thing and not waste it, and choosing well, and seeing how we celebrate ourselves. You'll see how you feel afterwards. You'll be like, wow, this is good. This is something special. and it's meaningful. Those times become worthy. Throughout our life, we go through a whole bunch of stuff, and many of these things are not even remembered. We just forget about them. We move on because they weren't significant moments in our life. But when we spend our time learning with Hashem and seeing only the good in life, we end up becoming good, and we end up growing from earth up to from Eretz Aretz into the Kriyas Yamsuf, into the laws and rules of Hashem, which are the words, which is the Ruach Mamalala, and then we go into Aish, where we connect ourselves and we elevate ourselves all the way into the spiritual realm, and we get to understand our neshama. We get to be ourselves. And you see, Dasan Va'aviram, did they ever think that they are going to be the core to this understanding? Did they ever think that their behavior is going to be a lesson, and their behavior is going to be a lesson in thousands of years after them? No, they were very selfish. They were stuck in their ways. Maybe they'll find reasons to explain themselves and say why they were right, and maybe we won't even be able to argue with them because they will have a point. But then again, if we can't argue with them because we think they have a point, then we have to worry about, like, what are we lacking? Why can't we live with the Amunah Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us? So let's take these personalities and learn from them. We're gonna be doing a little some more videos of different conversations about different people in the Torah, and hopefully you gain something. I appreciate you taking out your time, your day to watch this. I know it's long, but I appreciate the fact that you are taking your time out of your day. If you want to support me, support this channel, reach out. I'll be happy to work together in any way possible. If there's technical stuff or any other matter that we could work together with. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Thank you.